Hello, welcome to the stream. Blinking at my hair is a mess. Sorry. So I don't like my hair looking bad. But hello, welcome to the stream. How are we all doing today? Now then, I'll just dive straight into it. Today we got some big news regarding Man City and two of our star players, including our Ballon d'Or winner. So big ups. If you'd gone live 5 minutes earlier, I would have redirected to you. Oh man, blinking egg. What a fool. Oh well, big ups for tuning in anyway, Alpha Varka, and big ups for even considering redirecting to me. I appreciate that. But yeah, today we got some big news about some of our players returning from injury, including Rodri and Haaland, those guys on the thumbnail, and also the players that are back from injury and are in first team training. Here is Rodri here. Now then, I'm going to go over to City's games, and I'll just be straight up real quick. I think the goal for City will be to try have Rodri for the FA Cup. Okay, I think that'll be the goal for City. I think they might very well try and make it so the FA Cup when it happens later. They might put a request in to say, can it happen on the 28th? Not necessarily so Rodri can come back from injury, but just because maybe some of their players can rest a bit more or something. Rodri and Haaland not to play till Club World Cup, maybe bench for FA Cup final. You're literally never live when I'm live. I know, blinking heck. That's probably the closest it's been. I'll share screen now. I don't think we see... I'm confused. I think we are likely to see Haaland before the end of the season. Okay, and when I say before the end of the season, I mean before this. Before the Club World Cup. I think we will see Haaland around this time. Now then, I do not think we see Haaland or Rodri before Southampton. Haaland, his injury isn't as severe and he's not been out of the game as long. I think there might be a chance that you see Haaland for Southampton. I don't think you see Rodri before either of these, though. And then, look, I don't know what the fixture schedule is going to be of these. For all we know, the FA Cup final takes place between midweek and here. Or for all we know, this takes place on the 18th and the Bournemouth game gets pushed to midweek. It's a weird situation with the FA Cup. I'm not too sure when they're looking to do it. But the thing is, I don't think we're going to see Rodri for at least I don't think we see Rodri for at least 3 games. Whether that be Bournemouth or whether that be Palace, I don't think we see him in the next 3 games. I think there's a chance you see Haaland here. Haaland started training today, so that's Wednesday the 30th, and meaning there's 10 days before this game. So I think he might be on bench for Southampton. But at that point, you might as well not play him if you ask me. Not because Southampton are inferior, but have him on bench just in case. But at that point, you might as well just save him for the FA Cup final. And Bournemouth, it could be nice to get Rodri back for the final game at the Etihad. I think that'd be cool. I think that'd be much appreciated among City fans. But it's hard to call. You know, ACL is such a complicated one to get over, and I think it probably takes more than 18 days to get over. You know, Rodri has not played first team football since September, and he's been in individual training since like March or Feb. Can't quite remember, and he's only just hit first team training again. That's going to take a good few sessions before he's even fit for bench. And for me, if Rodri's fit for bench, I don't see Rodri being the player that you bring on in a game to try and win you a game. If you get me, well, he can sort out our midfield in a sense, and that can help us win a game. Of course, it can. But I mean, in the sense of getting the goal, having Haaland on your bench, it makes sense. Subbing on a guy with that goal threat is always a threat. But whilst Rodri would help stabilise the midfield, he's not like a goal machine. Is what I'm trying to say. I'm not discrediting Rodri. Obviously, goal machine isn't his game. That's Haaland's game. But for me, I do think we'll see Haaland or Rodri. Haaland and Rodri will be present here. That is for sure. I'm just not too sure when here. I think the earliest we see Rodri or Haaland is this period, whichever one of these games happens first. That's my personal thoughts on it. Would I like to see them earlier? Only if they're fully fit to play. I wouldn't want either of them to be rushed back, especially Rodri just coming back from an injury that of his level. And I think we should learn from that in Haaland too. Remember, Rodri picked up an injury, I think, playing for Spain, which kept him out until September for City. Now then, we gradually were bringing back Rodri. He came off the bench versus Brentford, started versus Inter, started versus Arsenal. Pep confirmed that Rodri got rushed back because he needed him for Arsenal. We should learn from that for Rodri. Okay, when you rush a player back, often the consequences will be, it won't be worth it. Sometimes maybe it can, but it's not worth rolling that dice, and we should know that now because Rodri picked up the worst injury he could have, and it completely changed our season. Now, and I don't think our season goes perfect whether Rodri is injured or not, but I don't think we go 1-14. I don't think this gap is as big either. I think there are some games that really came down to midfield battle. And I think if Rodri is in that midfield in some of those games, then I think it could be a very different game. But some of the issues were just in defence. Let's not forget our Sporting 4, City 1 lineup. Let me just pull it up. Don't like reminding myself of this game, but I will. This right here is not the prettiest lineup I've ever seen. It's far from it, in fact. Vardiol, Akanji, Simpson Poussey, and Rico Lewis. Rico Lewis, not physically strong. Simpson Poussey, it's like maybe his first start, or maybe one of his first. Akanji, he's having to play with a kid that he's never played with before. And Vardiol, obviously, also having to adapt to playing with Simpson Poussey. Probably probably one of the worst back fours we've gone with this season. There were games where it came down to back four. I'm not saying this midfield did a stellar job and which couldn't keep the chances out. Of course I'm not. But those games were there. We'll flick back over to Twitter now, actually. Have a look for more news. And there's Rodri in training. Thomas Miller, speaking of City. Red scored a great goal this game. All important goal. First real picture of City's home kit. I really don't know, to be honest. I think there could be a charm for it, but look, for me, I always let the players wear it first. Let me see it on the players For me, my problem is I don't like it when stuff cuts kind of abruptly. Like, for example, this doesn't feel abrupt, okay? I don't know why. It just doesn't in my head. I don't think this feels like an abrupt cut-off. This does, though. I don't know why. I just don't think... It doesn't quite look right. Again, I'll let the players wear it, but I don't know. Just give me a weird vibe. Yeah, we're all caught up on that part. Try to look for more. Hey, there's some transfer news. This is fresh. Oh, how have I done that? Wait there. Bingo. City have agreed a deal to sign 18-year-old Mahamadou Sangaré from Paris Saint-Germain on a free deal. Verbal agreement in place, medical soon. And one more exciting young talent for City winning the race for the PSG gem. Well, there you go. That's good. Ancelotti going there. Yeah, I'm not really seeing anything else. Honest opinion on Savinho, I don't think he's been too bad for a season where the whole club's been poor. Oh man, well, Savinho, Rodrigo coming to City is always a conversation, isn't it? It always pops up. Always pops up. It's always funny. That really is it for the news I've got. I really just wanted to cover the Rodri stuff. Again, I'm really not sure when he's going to play. Recovering from an ACL is a whole different kind of recovery. 7 months without football. Almost 8 for Rodri. It is a crazy thing to just come back from. For me, there should be no expectations when Rodri comes back. It's just merely an applause for recovering from something so big and getting back out there. It can only be applauded, something so big. So, for me, I personally would save them for here. If you absolutely need them in this, or at some point in these final 2 games, okay, don't use them here. But if you really need them in these final 2 games and the final, then fine. Then try and use them. But for me, save them if you can for the Club World Cup, because I think that is ultimately more important, to be honest. But I think I will wrap it up here. Only a short one, I didn't have tons to do, but I wanted to make a stream, wanted to cover something, I want to do more daily streams. But if you do want to see more of me tonight, and you're worried because this was too short of a stream for your typical liking, I'm going to be live later about 8:30 on Connect Gaming. So feel free to tune into that. We're going to be playing some more Doom Eternal. Big ups to everyone who tuned in. And yeah, I'll see you all in the next one.